Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be looking at 6 sets that are going to be coming out, 5 of which are coming out March 1st, which is in a few days, and one of which is coming out June 1st, which is in a few months. However, let's get started. I will be leaving timestamps for each of the little segments because we have 6 of them. And so, without further ado, let's get started with the Dark Trooper Tech, which is featured in Mandalorian Season 2. Now, in this set, we've got 4 minifigures, one of which is Luke Skywalker with his cloak, with the hood, instead of a hairpiece. Pretty interesting and nice to have a slightly different variation of him. And then 3 Dark Troopers, which is a phenomenal piece of the set. I understand the highlight, but also it's very nice to have this set exist in the first place because they're a very highly demanded figure, as we saw with the Imperial Light Cruiser, which only had one of them. A lot of people bought extras and then they were like $50+ on resale. So realistically, this is great. If we just look at the Dark Troopers, this is $10 per Dark Trooper, plus you get all these extra elements. And in that way, it's a very nice set. I will say that the detail is also heavily sticker based, but it does look good, which is nice. The elevator does spin around, as shown in some of the other reference material, with this little knob that sticks out at the top. And we have a bit of a sliding mechanism which kind of pushes the Dark Trooper in and about, just so that you can have some of that extra movement there. The back of the box is pretty nice. It shows off the same features. Also, there's a bit of a spinning platform over here that allows you to spin Luke, cut the Dark Troopers with his lightsaber. It does have a bit of extra shine here as they kind of polish it up. Here we see the minifigures in action. 3 Dark Troopers, same as the ones we've had, and then Luke Skywalker. I would say this is a really nice set. For $30, you get a lot of value, even if the piece count doesn't really say so, because it only has 166 pieces. But I think the Dark Troopers and like the scene make up for that. And so I would say that this is one of the really good set. Next up on our list is the Mandalorian N1 Starfighter. Now, when I first saw the price point, I was a bit set back, $60. I was not really seeing it, but I think there's definitely some substance here. The Mandalorian's N1 Starfighter is definitely something that I wanted to see made into a Lego set, and I think it's executed very nicely. I think it looks big, has definitely that presence. You can put the child Grogu up in the little droid compartment, which is very nice. You can have the Mandalorian sit there in his cockpit. You also get Pelimoto and the DB droid, which is great to see. We haven't had Pelimoto before, which is the mechanic. She was in a few episodes, which is good to see, that we get her in a Lego set for the first time. And also DB droid, which, I'm going to be honest, I don't really know about the mold yet. I still need to see it, physical version, but I'm really happy to see that we finally actually have a DB droid. Now, the overall thing is very silver-based, unlike the actual Naboo Starfighter, which is silver in the front, yellow in the back. However, you still do have some elements of yellow, which kind of add that nice hint of coloring there. Mandalorian has his jetpack and darksaber in the set. You've got Grogu, obviously still the same. Pelimoto with a waist belt and also a wrench. And then the back of the ship shows you a bit storage compartment for the jetpack. You've got the engine, which actually acts as the flick-fire missile pushing point, which I think is a great design. It doesn't actually hinder it, because we know that the engine is supposed to be there, so having that be the mechanism is actually fantastic for the set. 3 thrusters, 2 big ones on the side, 1 little one. Very accurate. This yellow is a bit jarring there, because you wouldn't expect it to be there. But overall, I have to say that I really like this set. We've got a nice little control panel there in the center. We can see that there's the bit of the pieces on the back. It's smooth. It looks like a stingray almost, which I think is fine. You've got that custom built feel of it, while still making this look like the actual ship itself, which I think combines 2 worlds where you've got the scrap elements of the actual creation of this, because it was created from basically scratch, but then you also have this Lego element and professionalism here, which just creates this fantastic build in general, which I think is worthy of the $60 price point. Am I happy with that? No, but I can see it, which I think is the important part for me, or anybody that wants to pick this set up. You gotta find your own value with the set and go with there, right? think that makes enough sense, right? Now, the biggest set of the line, Boba Fett's throne room, is definitely something that we should keep in mind, as this is the version from the end credit scene of The Mandalorian. Now, does that mean it's necessarily bad? No. However, we do not have some of the other figures that we might have seen if this was Book of Boba Fett era. It does have the Book of Boba Fett box art in here with the green, which looks good. However, realistically, from what I've heard and what's been seen here, it is from the Mandalorian end bit, which should constitute as the Book of Boba Fett era. But with that out of the way, let's look at this set. Now, we do have 7 minifigures, which is great. That's a better look at them. We've got ourselves Boba Fett, still with the lighter helmet piece. Fennec Shand with hairpiece instead of the orange like helmet. We've got Big Fortuna with the newer mold to kind of initiate the chubbiness that he's gained on himself. You know, he's put on a bit of weight since the last time we've seen him. The Thelan Dancer, which is a different character. They've appeared a few times, I think, in The Mandalorian. That isn't their name. However, I do not know enough about that character to really go in depth. We've got the Quarren, which is the little squid creature over here, you know, just sit in the back, do it as they do. We've got one Gamorrean guard, so if you ever wanted to create Boba Fett's entourage of the 2 Gamorrean guards, you're out of luck there. However, you do get a diverse cast of characters from like the Bib Fortuna ruling era, where he had lots of people like the Weequay guards, Gamorrean guards, and the Quarren guards. So that's a nice touch there. And so minifigure selection wise works really well with this set, obviously. The build itself is a bit interesting. We have a bit of a seating area there with a bit of a chimney. We've got the throne room itself with a bit of a kitchen back there. We've got the doorway here with a bit of a watchtower. It's definitely a lot smaller than previous versions. We have a bit of an entryway over here on the left with the like eye scanner and then the sentry turrets above it to make sure that no intruders get in. And then we've got an open concept kitchen here, which is interesting to see, which is probably the reference to like the scene where Boba Fett was getting his Slave 1 back. However, it definitely feels out of place that there's a kitchen here. I understand why they put it in, but it just didn't seem like one of those things that would actually be in this set. I'm not complaining that it's here, but I'm a bit brought back by it. We do have this nice little handle here where we can just shove Bib Fortuna off of his throne. Fun little mechanic here. You can kind of just have someone get flung off of their chair. You know, pretty interesting. Also stairs. You can fling people off stairs. Lots of flinging in this set. If we continue, we can see the door mechanism lifting up and down. We've got a secret compartment under the throne, which is nice. And we've got clips again, like we saw in the Death Star duel set. And we've got some vents at the top, and then the Rancor little area there. It definitely feels small and underwhelming in size, but it does have a lot of mini pieces. And realistically, I don't want to make any assumptions on the set just yet, because I myself am still not sure of how I feel about this set. I think conceptually, it's alright. It's not my favorite of the line, but I'm definitely going to be picking up and seeing how I feel after that, because there's a lot of characters in here that I do want, and I kind of want to see this for myself, because I think for the time being, it's okay, but if you compare it to the previous iteration, which was $20 more, it just doesn't really compare the same way. And that one also had a Rancor pit. Here we don't have a Rancor pit, nor does it look like there's any intention to add a Rancor pit, which is very unfortunate in that regard, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now on to our first helmet set. This is the Mandalorian's helmet, of course, with these new, like, well, not new, but a lot of, like, newly made silver pieces, because I don't know if we've had the majority of these pieces in, like, this chromish silver before, and I think it looks very nice. Like, I mean, it's basically one color. It's got some gray, a little bit of dark gray, and then black with the chrome pieces. So it's very smushed in with its color palette, but that's fine, because that's realistically what it looks like. You know, you've got the bit of darker elements here, you've got the black there, and you've got a lot of shiny chrome all over. And I think that it's a really nice design for the Mandalorian helmet. If someone's interested enough in the Mandalorian and likes these helmet sets, this is going to be a great piece. I don't think this is how most people would display it. Like, I'm not an expert in interior decorating, but I just don't think that this is like the proper. I don't think this is how people would display their stuff. Like, I understand that this is probably the way some people do it, but I don't think this does the. I don't think this is like the justice that needed to be done. But from everything that I see here, I think that this is a great helmet set. You know, $60 is pretty standard for the helmet sets. I think if you're into the Mandalorian, into the helmet sets, this would be a nice display set for you. And I think that's a given, right? Now onto the Luke Skywalker Red 5 helmet. When I originally saw this, or heard about this, I was very confused at the direction they would go. This one has 675 pieces. I didn't go over the last one's piece count, which is, let's see here, 584. So this one has slightly more pieces, which is to be expected as it has all of this internal, like, plating inside, so you get that smooth blackness there. It does have these, like, sidebars, you know, it looks functional, and it does have, like, the proper shaping that you'd expect from this. I myself do not know about this set. I think it's definitely an interesting direction to go with, like, these more open style helmets that we can clearly see on Luke here, that it's a lot more open style because it's not enclosed where you can't see their face, but you can physically see their face. So it's an interesting direction to go. However, because they have done Luke Skywalker's Red 5 helmet, there's definitely potential for other style helmets, such as this one, to exist alongside it. So potentially we could see a Fennec Shan helmet. I don't know why that one specifically stood out, but I think it's because Fennec Shan was in the previous set that we looked at, so fresh on my mind, right? But I think that I like the design of this. Am I particularly interested in picking this up? Probably not. I don't really have the space for the helmet. Well, I actually do have the space, but I don't think this is one of those that I'm necessarily interested in picking up. However, if anybody's a big fan of Luke or Luke's Red 5 helmet, I think this is a great set for those people, and I think it just works really well. The final set we have here is the Dark Trooper helmet. Now, this one has received a lot of controversy just for the way it looks. Now, with 693 pieces, it does have a lot of smaller pieces to kind of make up all the detail, and it looks like the Dark Trooper, but it also, just something about it. Something about it. I don't think the Dark Trooper was really meant to be in this form. I get why they would want to do it, but I don't know. I think I have to agree that there's definitely something just strange about it. Something that's just not right about it. That's not to say that it doesn't look good for what it is, because I think that there are some definitely appealing elements to it, but I think just as a whole, it doesn't really speak to me. Now, this is again $60 here is the cost, and I think it makes sense as the other ones are also $60, but I think we're going to end off on a negative note here and say that I don't really know what to feel about this set. I definitely think that there's something off-putting about it to me, but that's not to say that you can't enjoy it, because my opinion is null and void at the end of the day, because your opinion overrides that. And so, realistically, it's about purchasing which sets you find appealing. If we go back to everything, let's say you really like the Dark Trooper tag, and so you really like the Dark Trooper itself, so you'd get the Dark Trooper helmet and that set. But let's say you're a big fan of the Mandalorian series, so you might get the N1 Naboo Starfighter from the Mandalorian, you might get the Dark Trooper tech, because that also came in the Mandalorian, and then you might get the Mandalorian helmet. But let's say you're not the biggest fan of Luke Skywalker, you might not get this helmet, and maybe you're not really interested in the Book of Boba Fett Throne Room because, well, you're not the biggest fan of how that show went. So, you don't have to get all these sets, you know, it's about finding what's right for you, which set really appeals to you, and which set you think you're going to find the most enjoyment with. And I think that's the note that I'm going to end off on. So, I hope you all had a good time watching this video. See you next time.